Hey everyone, it's Chantal Girardi here from Online Business Marketing, and today we're going to go through an exercise of where you can come or how you can come up with your signature talks, and we're going to try to bomb out 10 today. So what I'd really like for you to do is have pen and paper next to you. Actually, in fact, even two, like have one or use one side and then another side, because for the one, I just want you to write down the words, the power words that are coming to mind as I take you through the exercise. Then on the other one, really have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And that is where we're going to write the 10 signature talks. Now, I did this recently with Angela as we were brain dumping some ideas for a webinar that we're working on together. And when she sent me through some of them, they were all great if I knew what Angela did. But if I put on my hat and I went, if I put on my hat and I went, I actually don't know who this is for. Like if I didn't know that particularly was for managers, it may have been misconstrued as if it was for a VA company or looking for a VA company. So really important that when we put on our hats and we write these titles, that there has to be no confusion at all who this specifically is for and why they should show up and what the outcome of that is for them, what's in it for me. So again, just make sure you've got pen and paper with you. It's going to be fast paced. We're going to go through it. And then of course, the live VIP members at the end will get to actually test and trial and go through some of the headlines that you've come up with. So firstly, before we do anything, it comes down to preparation. All right. How do we prepare ourselves before we go into this? Ideally, what we should do is we should be aware of our customer data. So number one is look at your current customers and look at for common characteristics and trends that identify them. So if you look at your best customers, who are they and what are the similarities? So write it down. Okay. Number two, we should always conduct market research. So surveys, interviews, focus groups, or looking at insights, because we should be asking our audience, what are their needs, what are their challenges, what are their goals and their aspirations, so that we can get some intel or insight into who they are and what they do. So the number one was about looking at who we already have. That's awesome. And what are the common characteristics? Number two is going and doing some market research again, so that we can get some information, valuable information around their pain points and motivations. Number three is going to the social media and looking at your analytics. And I would even say looking at your email marketing analytics. Again, if you haven't been doing the right thing on social media or the right thing on email, your analytics are going to be skewed. Okay. So if your ideal customer is women between the ages of 40 and 50 years old, and on Instagram, your insights are showing that you're talking to men that are between the ages of 20 and 30, your social media and your email is not on point, right? There's something that's out of whack. So really important that you do go in and look at your analytics and make sure that the analytics are correct before going and analyzing those analytics and going, or even testing that market. Because if you test that market, they're the wrong market. I hope that makes sense. Number four is monitoring online discussions. And I think sometimes business owners can really just be lazy and not go and actually look in the marketplace and see what their ideal customers actually showing interest in or paying attention to, in forums and Facebook groups, in industry specific things, where are they going? What are they interested in? So that you can understand what really engages them and what they're showing interest in at the moment. Number five would be conducting research into keywords. You can use platforms like Google Keyword Planner, SEMrush, or Moz, M-O-Z, or you could go to answerthepublic.com. And if your audience is in Australia, you can just put it in Australia. But if it's worldwide or in a different location, you can put that location in and then just ask answerthepublic.com, what are people searching for in Google around this? Or you can go to ChatGPT. If you watched last week's training, you can go to ChatGPT and ask them, what is this specific person searching for online, or what are the keywords specifically for this person? Now, remember from last week's training, what we know is that if you go in and say, hey, what are females looking for, or what are females looking for when it comes to, I don't know, a lubrication? Don't put that into ChatGPT. What are females looking for lubrication? For rust-proof lubrication, for squeaky, unused. Angela's getting it. No. But, you know, then Daryl could go in and say, okay, what are women looking for? But if he gets more specific in that niche and starts including more descriptive words to describe that particular audience and goes deep into that audience, the answers are going to be more specific. The SEO, the keywords and everything are going to be more relevant. So really important that you are very specific about that. Cool. The next one is number 6, is engaging in direct conversation. So in comments, direct messages, or in emails, going and speaking to either your customers you have now or past customers that have worked with you, or even prospects that have never worked with you, and asking them for feedback that you can incorporate into your content strategy or topics of content. Number 7 would be competitors analysis. I mean, and this is so important. I always say to everyone, if you don't go and look at what your competitors are doing, you really are cutting off your foot. And it's not so we can copy them, it's so we can differentiate ourselves from them. But if you know the type of content that they're creating, well, what are the topics that you can create that they are missing out on? And I know that Daryl posted, I would say, controversial type post the other day, which was like, you know, look at my competitors, they WD-40. This is what's happening with their customers right now. You know, and he's going in and he's looking at who his competitors are and going, well, they're actually not a competitor because this is what we do. And this is how we do business that's different. So it's about looking at that gap and how you can fill that gap. Number 8 is obviously researching industry trends. So it's really, really, really important that when something becomes trendy, that you follow that trend. Okay. You know, like we always used to do it sort of in the health, wellness and fitness industry. If suddenly there was a trend and it was keto, well, then you've got to create content around keto, even if it is how keto doesn't work, how keto won't work or will work, or how to get keto to actually work for you, because that's trending. That's what people are searching and looking for content on. So whether or not you believe it or don't believe it, how can you create content to pull that audience in and show them what you do that's different and better or more special? Really important. All right, so this is the process I'm going to take you through, and there's like heaps of stuff to go through. But again, just make sure that you've got that pen and paper there so that you can jot down words. And I challenge you, instead of going, you know, my ideal client is a female, you really nut down to it and go, well, what type of female? How's that female feeling? What is that female thinking about? We really have to go deep into these things, okay, so that we can really use those words to hook and pull them in. So number 1 is I want you to write down your expertise, okay, because if your expertise are in specific things, what are those expertise? Because you want to sit into those expertise because they already differentiate you from anyone else. So specific areas in which you possess deep knowledge, skills, or experience. Now, there's a couple of things here, okay? So when it comes to knowledge, what do you know and talk about all the time? Like know and talk about all the time. You know, Sally and I, even while we're drinking and having wine together, it will come up and we will start talking about health and wellness and whatever, you know, but I'm passionate about that as well. So they come up in even non-business terms. You can't help yourself. You can't help but share that knowledge. Now, when it comes to skills, remember that you only have to know more than the person that you're talking to. So you don't have to know everything. There are people I am an expert in and highly skilled in certain things, and there will be people that have expertise and are highly skilled in things above me. You only need to know more than the person that you're talking to, and that's your ideal client. So what is that skill that you have? And that third part of that is experience. Now, this is a really, 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 really good one. And I took this one for granted when I was transitioning between my two businesses, because the experience that you have, even life experience, even personal experience, even, for me, when I was pregnant in South Africa, with twins in a strange suburb that we just moved to, or state actually, and, trying to grow a business up there, that experience that I had as a pregnant person, not having a lot of energy, having to start a business in a new place, not knowing anyone, that led to experience, which helped me then in my experience when I moved to Australia, which then helps me in my experience to help startups who don't know who their audience is and don't have any money. Like, I can use that experience as well. So look at life experiences, look at personal experiences, whether or not it's being a mother, whether or not, I often refer to the experience I had as a triathlete, how being a triathlete taught me discipline, taught me structure, that you can't do everything all the time because you just get burnt out and you get injuries. So look at your overall experience and write those down, because that can be a topic. That can be one of your signature talks and topic. So what are your unique strengths? So whether or not you've done your unique strengths, whether or not it's through DISC profiling, whether or not it's through the Gallup strengths, whether or not it's even through the love languages, whatever you've done, and if you've done nothing, I mean, there's lots of free resources, go do them. But what are those strengths? And you'll know, because people always come to you for those strengths. They always will resonate toward you for strengths. And remember, it's okay for people to come to you for strengths as long as it's mutually beneficial. Look at your qualifications, which is really important. What qualifications do you have? And again, one of my qualifications was a triathlete coach. And you think, what's that got to do with now? Well, again, it's about putting a roadmap forward so people don't get burnt out. So you want to write these things in to your topics of talking, because they're metaphors and they're things that you can use to help you, and it's something that someone else may not have. So you might go to another marketing coach, another business coach. They don't understand discipline because they've never been a triathlete. They've never had to do 13 hours of training a week. So you can tap into that as a differentiation. And accomplishments, so any accomplishments that you may have. So whether or not it's awards, motherhood, Paul Marita, who passed away, one of our clients, I'll start crying. She overcome cancer, helped her husband overcome cancer. And then sadly, lost the battle. But, what are those accomplishments and the lessons that you learn in that will help you differentiate yourself? So any other unique experiences? So, often I talk about, I've done pole dancing and aerial silks, and I'm not good at that stuff, but I'm going to do it. And I went and I did it. That shows business owners that you don't have to know how to do something to learn how to do it. You just got to put yourself in a position of doing it. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Trust me, there's no video footage of me doing aerial silks or pole dancing, and you most certainly wouldn't want to see it. But, I did it, right? I did it. I didn't try. I did do it. So, think about all these other things that you could do, because you can create high quality content around that. So I hope you've all written that down. Number 2 is your target audience. Now, your target audience has to be a paying audience. I cannot say this enough. All right. You have to make sure it's a paying audience. And if you're saying that my audience doesn't have money, you need to reassess your mindset, because I did that for years. Everyone has money, and everyone is spending it, and everyone will buy things. But you've just got to convince yourself that they'll buy what you're offering them, and it has to be the right solution for them. It's not the right solution for them, they won't pay it for you. And if you're not communicating that, they're not going to do it. So their demographics, their interests, their pain points, their aspirations, really important that you look at the past, or like how they're feeling right now, connect with exactly, and write down their words. the exact, I don't know, English words. What are they? Verbs, adjectives, nouns, whatever the words are, write them down. But those descriptive words, I think it's verbs. Verbs are descriptive words. I think so. Write those descriptive words on the exact words and delve into that. And you know what I do as a little trick? I then go do the synonyms of those words, because everyone in marketing goes, I'm stressed and overwhelmed with marketing. Well, I could be stressed and overwhelmed in the workplace. I could be stressed and overwhelmed in a caravan. I could be stressed and overwhelmed with lubricating my bicycle. I could be stressed and overwhelmed with my mindset. I could be stressed and overwhelmed with my creativity. So how do we go? If you look at synonyms, you can find synonyms that better describe stressed and overwhelmed, that may actually be more, which may articulate it better to your ideal client. So write down those words, because it needs to be their language. Remember about magnetic language, their language has to be used to attract the right person. Number 3, you need to define your purpose. So why your business exists. It's really around your why and the difference that you want to make. Because it needs to be in alignment with you. If it's not in alignment with you, you're not going to do it. So you have to make sure that you're very familiar with your core beliefs and your values and your passions. When I transitioned from my fitness business to my marketing business, everyone said to me, Chantel, you can't be a marketer, you're a personal trainer, what do you know? All right. And I probably for 2 years had that little monkey chatter on my ear over here until I started listening and believing, adjectives, thank you. I started listening and believing that you only need to know what's more in front of the person. You only need to know more than the person that you're talking to, of which I did. And that your experience is what you can teach people. But what I also learned was, where am I now? No. Is that when I looked at it and I went, what have I done my entire life? I went, well, when I did triathlon, I fell into triathlon. I had a personal training client who wanted to learn triathlon. She felt lonely, so I did it with her. I enjoyed it, realized I was good at it, so I carried on doing it and then taught other people to do it. I became a school teacher. I taught swimming, a teacher. I taught, what else have I taught? Then as a personal trainer, my point of difference was teaching people how to eat and exercise so that they could have a balanced lifestyle, so that they didn't have to do these excessive things. And then when I looked at my marketing business, I went, I want to teach people how to do things better. So for me, it was all around empowerment. So I write down my purpose is I love empowering people. Like, that's my passion. So write down your passion. Love empowering people. I love making a difference. I love educating people. Those things have remained consistent in my life since I was younger. And I've always loved figuring something out and then teaching it to other people so they don't have to struggle. And that's my purpose. I wrote my purpose down, and that's become part of my values and my mission statements. Cool. So it's about the impact that you want to make, right? The impact. So, and for Tara, it may just be the impact around sustainability and the environment and giving back to the earth, whatever that is, what is your mission statement, your purpose. So number 4 is mission statement. And your mission statement really should summarize your business's purpose, values, and goals in a concise and compelling mission statement. So write this as your homework, that you want to come up with what your mission statement is. So here is mine. I empower business owners with the skills, strategies, and systems so that they can successfully manage their own marketing and be more productive and profitable so that they can play more and not have to gamble on ads. Like, just a mission statement. They've got my core values in there. I empower them, which means I don't do it for them. I empower them to do it. I've said how I empower them. I give 3 ways on how I empower them. I include my point of difference in there, going, I want you to be more productive and profitable so you can play more, because they are my values. So come up with what your mission statement is. And then you just sing that from the rooftop for it, like it should be everywhere. So number 5 then is your key messages. And again, these are just your power words. You know, they really are your golden M arch of McDonald's of it should capture the essence of your business, highlight your unique value proposition. It should really just make your heart glow, and it should just pierce the hearts of your ideal client. Those key messages, those power words or statements. But it should most certainly convey your point of difference and differentiate you from your competitors. Okay. And it definitely should be outcome-based and solve a problem. Number 6, it does have to communicate your brand personality. I remember when one of my clients used to say, every time I put an exclamation mark, she used to freak out because it felt like I was shouting at her. And I said to her, well, chances are, you know, if we work one-on-one, it's going to sound like I'm shouting at you the whole time. All my one-on-one clients, does it sound like I'm shouting at you the whole time? Because I'm like, it does. So when I write my exclamation marks and when I talk with my hands, it conveys my brand personality and my tone. And if you're not comfortable with that in the written essence, you're probably not going to be comfortable with it in the one-on-one essence. So, and I did this actually for a plumber last week, where we came up with this brand emojis. So what are your brand emojis that you're going to use? You know, in your written content, the same emojis the entire time. And you want them to be, you know, special to you. Number 7 is researching popular topics. And something that you can do in Google is you can actually set it up inside Google that Google sends me a daily what's trending. And I've got daily what's trending in Australia, in marketing, in social media, in email marketing, in Facebook. And it can actually, you can set it up on Google, so it just sends you it every single day, so that you are kept in the loop with what right now is your ideal customer searching for. So for example, if Tara's doing caravan mattress toppers, she can go and she can put it into Google, so it sends her maybe a weekly email to say, this is what's happening in Australia in the caravanning world. This is what's happening in the influence marketing in the caravan space, or in the caravan expo space. This is what's happening. And it will send a weekly email through. So you got to stay in the loop for what's trending, you know, what's on topic right now. So the next thing you need to do is obviously brainstorm broad themes. And I literally just used to look at all the words and then just brainstorm those words and go, well, how can I grow something really powerful out of this word? Because it's got to align with your expertise. It's got to align with your audience's interests. So expertise and audience interests. So if I say, for example, okay, I'm an online marketing strategist, well, what are the other sub sort of topics that I can expand on? Well, I can talk about social media. I can talk about email marketing. I can talk about website. I can talk about sales copy. I can talk about AI. I can talk about email marketing. And then out of those, you might even have subheadings as well. Well, then I can talk about keywords. I can talk about call to actions. I can talk about post content. So go and do a massive spider graph of this brainstorm. And from those words, draw out and go, these are the topics of interest for my ideal customer that shows my expertise and point of difference. And break it down, obviously, into those subtopics. What you are looking to do is identify gaps and opportunities, okay? So in the marketplace, if they are not talking about something and you've noticed that and you've recognized that, you need to be talking about that. So if Daryl knows that, you know, WD-40 is a lubricant, but it isn't actually a rust protection, he's going to be talking about how his is a rust protector. Like that's going to be, because that's going to show his expertise in rust protection, and it's going to trump everyone else's content. So sometimes it can be a little bit controversial. Thank you. Sorry. No. I wanted to mute it, not stop recording. Hey, Six, come on. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come on. Sorry, we're just talking about this yesterday and talking about with AI right now. Hey, come here. Doing podcasts and that, we were saying how people are actually like this. They're actually missing out on this, and they actually appreciate the dog and the chaos, and they're not wanting well-scripted, boring, I was going to say anal, which I've just said, kind of, content. So, cool. So yeah, so you want to make sure that there is the controversial stuff in there. So you don't, you don't want to leave that out. For me, I talk about how you don't have to gamble on ads. No, you don't have to outsource. Everyone's saying you have to do that. No, you don't. Here's how. So I track the audience that is already skeptical and going, you know what, this doesn't freaking work. Ads don't work. We're going to contact Chantel because she's talking about how to do something without ads. So, yeah, really, really important to look at gaps and opportunities which may be controversial as well. Looking at the impact and the relevance of what you're doing, so the potential impact and relevance of those topics. Again, really leaning into, your brand and what your target audience is interested in. Making sure that it resonates with it, that they are 100% interested and are going to show up for it. Number 12 is, it always has to be strategy focused. What is the purpose of that topic? So, if you've got a media kit on your website and you'd say that these are my 10 things that I talk about, that I'm an expert at talking about, this is who my audience is, this is what I talk about, there may be those subcategories where you have to turn it around. So for example, last week I did a DIY Facebook marketing strategy without paying for ads. And the week before that was a DIY online marketing strategy for ads. So I was able to take it, but the person that was running the event, one wanted it specifically on Facebook, the other wanted it on an end-to-end strategy across all profiles. So you can still take your signature talks then, but you obviously want to look at who you're talking to and make sure that the person that you're talking to, so whether or not you're co-blogging, doing a podcast interview, writing an article for someone, you want to make sure that you have tailored it to their audience. And you want to make sure that if the outcome is, so for example, for Angela, who's doing a webinar, the outcome is for that manager to come and do training so they can better be a better leader and better communicate with their and have a better overall experience and team with their team. So she's going to then make sure that that title effectively communicates that to get that person in there and is going to get the outcome of them actually working with her at the end. And the outcome is always to get somebody to buy from you. That's the outcome. You don't have to be salesy, but you've got to know that that's your outcome. Number 13 is make sure that you incorporate storytelling and personal experiences. So again, we spoke about experiences in the beginning, but here I just want to say, make sure that you have crafted your story that sells. All of you would have heard my story a gazillion times by now, okay? That story was crafted to convince business owners that they don't need to be a marketer in order to be able to do their marketing, because I have got to get them to believe that in order to pay me money and not give it to a marketing company. So that story convinces them of that. So you have to have a story that sells, that shows them that they can do it. It handles the objections, makes them connect with you and believe you are the solution. So number 14 is making sure that you obviously respect the platforms and the audience on those platforms, which we touched on lightly. So making sure that if you're at conferences, webinars, podcasts, or video presentations, that you tailor it specific for that audience. Last week, I presented to the Australian Wall and Plastering Association. And previously, I presented to the Master Plumbers Association. And previous to that was the Window Tinting Association of Australia. When I do that, I go and I ask them what their audience is struggling with right now. And even though I have a presentation, I go and I tailor that presentation and the language specific to their audience, because else it's not going to resonate and it's not going to end up getting sales at the end. I remember once being asked to speak at a Mortgage Broker Association's event. And they said to me, there's mortgage brokers going to be there, and these mortgage brokers, they all manage their own marketing. Can you come along? Can you speak for us? I went, cool. So I got there, and anyway, they were going around the room. And it turned out that the presentation that I'd actually made, which I thought was actually for mortgage brokers, it wasn't actually that. These people weren't actually mortgage brokers. They were helping mortgage brokers do something. And I would have done everyone a dishonor and a disservice if I just stood up and gone blah with my mortgage broker. While they were going around, they came to me and I said, oh, can you carry on, please? I'll do mine at the end. And I sat there and I changed my entire key message and audience to make sure that I was talking specifically to these people who worked with mortgage brokers so that it would resonate and cut through. So you have to be able to do that. You've got to be able to respect your audience and the platform that you're on. So we spoke about competitors analysis that 100% can help you. But even if you have an opportunity and you're presenting for someone, so I worked with Angela last week. She's doing a guest live Instagram. So I went through how that works with her and how to do that. Collaboration with a guy. This guy trains other guys in the mental health space. She needs to come in and present on guys and supporting that. But she also should not step on his toe. So you should always stay in your lane. So she needs to stalk him, make sure that I always validate what they do and validate. So, Melissa Groom, for example, Susie, if I ever presented with Melissa, I would not go into the video marketing space, and I would leave that for her, and I would validate and give her credibility for what she does. And I would then stick in my lane. And even though I can talk on it, I wouldn't. And it's really important that you respect the people who give you these opportunities, that you don't come in and you stay in your lane. You'll also get more opportunities as well. You'll find people will respect you and they'll get you to come and talk because you're respectful of them. Brainstorming pain points and aspirations and topic titles would be really awesome. Looking at what your niche is inside your niche. So does everyone know what their niche inside their niche is? Write this down, because you will have a niche, but there will be a niche inside your niche. And you need to know what that niche inside that niche is. So get really clear on who your niche is. And then once you've done that, and sometimes it helps to do it on a second day, it's like having two businesses. Get clear on your niche. So don't get overwhelmed by the niche inside your niche. Sorry, I'm going to have a coughing fit. Hopefully that's gone. Some tickle in my throat. Get clear on your niche. Come back tomorrow, only look at that niche and go, what's my niche in this niche? Super, 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 super important. And identifying and understanding your non-negotiables, really important. Your non-negotiables, really, really important. There's a couple of certain people that I will not present with or do workshops with or support their events, because I don't like the way that they run I don't have the same values as them. So I will not get into bed with them because I'll get a rash as far as I'm concerned. So I just won't do it. But you need to be clear on what your non-negotiable values are, so that if you get presentation opportunities, that you actually can say, I don't think that this is going to work for us. And you don't need to say yes to everything. In fact, I encourage you to say no to things that don't serve you or your audience. So look, identifying, making sure your non-negotiable values and principles are that you know, and then aligning with your audience beliefs. So it's aligning the beliefs. I know that I've got to get business owners to believe that they can do their own marketing and generate their own leads. So I have got to align those beliefs in my signature talks. So I might say DIY, online marketing strategies, do it yourself. I have to align those beliefs. I've got to empower them to say, well, you can get sales online without paying for ads. So what do I believe and what do I need to get them to believe? Because curiosity will get them to register and sign up. So craft talks that challenge their beliefs. Craft talks that challenge their beliefs without putting yourself in a place where you could be trolled. I was trolled online once where I spoke about how exercise can improve your mental health. And I got like 3 or 4 people just trolled me and said to me, I have a mental health issue. I need to be on medication. You're telling me to stop my medication. And I said, I did not tell you to stop your medication. I just said it can improve your mental health. Well, I can't even get out of bed every day. And I can't even do this. And I can't even do that without taking my meds. And it's the same thing. You cannot argue with someone who's throwing a tantrum who won't believe it. But, you know, you've just got to be able to prepare yourself for things. You know, don't push the line, but go to a place where you can confidently support what you're talking about. And then, of course, you've got to test and refine. So you can go online, you can ask your close tribe, hey, what do you like? Do you like this title? Do you like that title? You know, I said to Angela, go take her titles, go put them into the Facebook group and see if people understand them, because we need other people to understand what those titles are so that when they're scrolling, the right person stops and actually says, yep, I'm registering for that. Yes, I want to listen to that presentation. That's a podcast I want to listen to. Okay. It's nothing worse that when I see podcasts, and I saw this the other day, a company, and they've gone, they might go, I don't know, Jane and Bob are talking about relationships. And I'm like, so effing what? Like, where is the credibility? Where's the outcome of that presentation? What was the key message in that, like the absolute gold in that podcast? And I also say when I do a podcast, I always write down what the gold was, because you can never plan it. It will automatically happen in conversation. I write down like a couple of gold points, and that goes into my topic. You know, how to save your relationship with this unthought of principle or something, you know, it evokes curiosity. But it has to evoke curiosity. It has to be outcomes based for the audience. What's in it for them? Them is important. So, and of course, as I said, you've got to test it. So how do you create these? Well, number one, you've got to make sure you use compelling language that's attention grabbing headlines. Think of soapy magazines. Okay. It has to compel curiosity. You have to use power words, right there, power words, action verbs, emotional triggers. You want to trigger them with your language. Numbers also work well. You know, 3 ways to. 3, do it yourself, this. 10 ways to, 9, 7, whatever. So numbers can also work well. And the negative can also be as well. So what you like, dispelling myths, or it's the negative of it. What you don't need to know about this. You need to make it specific and unique to that person with your uniqueness. Specific and unique to them, your audience, specific and unique to you. Highlighting a different approach, your different specific, your magic experience, you know, that makes you magical. It needs to be concise. So, you know, you're going to try and get it into short words as well, but just write it, get it really long, and then, you know, try and get it down or use ChatGPT. And avoid lengthy and convoluted phrases. And then, of course, you've got to also address pain points and aspirations and offer them solutions. Cool. So we'll stop our recording over now because we're actually going to go into, and I'm just going to make you write a couple of others, and then we're going to also throw around some titles. So I hope some of you have got some words already. So I'm going to stop the recording now, but for those who actually want to attend live every single week on a Monday from 1 to 2 Queensland or Brisbane time, it's $247 at this time per month. May go up, may go down, who knows, keep looking. But you just got to join the VIP group in order to be able to gain access to all these recordings and insight, and to do the actual live exercises and get feedback.